The arena was the largest ever built in the known galaxy. It floated above a dead moon, wrapped in glowing energy shields. Millions of alien spectators filled the seats, stacked high like layers of a mountain. Some watched from private pods. Others hovered in the air on anti-grav platforms. Every species was present, scaled, furred, armored, winged, and things without clear shapes at all. This place was known as the Dominion Arena. Here, champions were made. Here, legends died. The crowd was loud. They always were. Roars echoed across the massive dome as the announcer's voice boomed through the air. "Welcome, honored beings," the announcer shouted. "Today, you will witness another test of strength." Holograms flashed across the arena walls. Past battles played on repeat. Blood, broken bodies, screaming warriors. Then the image changed. A single word appeared in bright red light. Human. The crowd reacted instantly. Laughter, mocking sounds. Some hissed, others clicked in amusement. Humans were rare here, very rare, not because they were powerful, but because they usually did not survive. "Ah, yes," the announcer said with a mocking tone. "A human contestant, from a soft world, a fragile species, known more for words than war." The laughter grew louder. Many aliens leaned forward in excitement. A human fight meant an easy show, a quick death, good entertainment. The arena floor opened. A platform rose slowly from below. Standing on it was a single human male. He was not tall compared to many species. He did not wear heavy armor. His clothing was simple, dark combat fabric, worn but clean. No helmet, no visible heavy weapon, only light gear strapped to his side. His hands were relaxed. His face was calm. Too calm. Some of the laughter faded. The human stepped forward as the platform locked into place. He looked around the arena, slowly turning his head. He did not look afraid. He did not rush. His eyes moved like he was memorizing everything. The announcer noticed the silence growing and quickly spoke again. "Do not be fooled," the announcer said loudly. "This is still a human, and humans always break." The crowd cheered again, but not as strongly. Across the arena, another gate began to open. Heavy metal doors slid apart with a deep grinding sound. Something massive moved inside the shadows. The lights shifted. The crowd roared. Out stepped the champion. It was tall, more than 3 times the human's height. Its body was covered in thick natural armor, dark red and black. Forearms ended in clawed hands. Its head was wide, with rows of sharp teeth. Old scars covered its body, signs of many victories. This was Krax the Shredder, a legend of the arena. He had killed dozens of fighters. No opponent had ever left alive once Krax entered combat. The human looked at Krax. Then he looked away. That surprised many in the crowd. The announcer laughed nervously. "It seems the human does not even dare to face his end." But the human was not scared. He was thinking. Above the arena floor, the judges appeared in a floating platform. Tall figures wearing golden armor and masks. They were the ones who controlled the fights. They decided who lived, who died, and how the battles ended. The human raised his head and looked directly at them. His voice was calm, clear, not loud, but it carried. "Before we begin," the human said, "I have a question." The crowd laughed again. "A question?" someone mocked. The judges did not respond immediately. Humans rarely spoke in the arena. They usually screamed instead. "Speak," one judge said finally. The human tilted his head slightly. His eyes were sharp now, focused. "When I'm done," he asked, "do you want it returned alive?" He paused. The pause felt heavy. "Or in pieces?" The effect was instant. The arena went dead quiet. No cheers, no laughter, no mocking sounds. Even the massive creature Crax stopped moving. The announcer froze, his mouth open, but no words coming out. Millions of aliens sat in complete silence. The question echoed in the minds of everyone listening. Alive or in pieces? That was not something prey asked. That was something hunters asked. One of the judges leaned forward. "You dare mock this arena?" the judge demanded. The human did not smile. "I'm not mocking anything," he replied. "I just don't like wasting effort." Somewhere in the crowd, fear began to spread. The judges whispered among themselves. Finally, one raised a hand. "The fight will proceed," the judge said coldly. "End it as you see fit." The human nodded once. He turned back toward Crax. The massive alien roared and slammed all four fists into the ground. The arena floor cracked under the force. The crowd slowly found its voice again, cheering loudly, trying to drown out the strange feeling growing in their minds. The announcer forced excitement into his voice. "The battle begins!" A loud metallic sound echoed. The signal horn. Crax charged. The ground shook with every step. The human did not run. He stood still, watching, waiting, and just before the monster reached him, the human smiled. Crax the Shredder charged like a living weapon. Each step shook the arena floor. Cracks spread across the metal surface as the massive alien closed the distance. His roar was loud enough to vibrate the energy shields above. The crowd screamed in excitement. "This is it," the announcer shouted. "The human will not last a second." The human did not move. He stood still, feet planted, eyes locked on the charging monster. His body was relaxed, almost careless. To the crowd, it looked like fear, like surrender. But inside his mind, the human was counting. Distance, speed, weight, balance. Crax raised all four arms, claws open wide, ready to tear the human apart. At the last possible moment, the human moved. Not backward, sideways. Crax missed. The giant alien slammed into the ground where the human had been standing. The impact sent a shock wave across the arena. Dust and debris flew into the air. The crowd gasped. The human rolled smoothly, came back to his feet, and increased the distance between them. "That was luck!" someone shouted from the stands. Crax roared again, furious now. He turned fast for a creature his size and swung one massive arm. The strike cut through the air like a blade. The human ducked. The claw passed just above his head. The crowd grew quieter. The human did not attack. He kept moving, always just out of reach. Crax attacked again and again, using strength, speed, and rage, and every time, the human avoided the blow. "Why is he running?" the announcer demanded, confusion slipping into his voice. "Is this human a coward?" But the judges were no longer relaxed. They leaned forward, watching closely. The human suddenly changed direction. He ran straight toward Crax. The crowd screamed. Crax grinned, sharp teeth exposed. He lifted two arms high, ready to crush the human like an insect. At the last second, the human slid between Crax's legs. He planted one foot, twisted his body, and slammed a small metal device into the back of Crax's knee. There was a sharp sound. Not an explosion. A crack. Cracks howled in pain. One of his legs buckled, and the massive alien fell to one knee. The impact shook the arena again. The crowd went silent. The human did not stop. He climbed onto Krax's back, using the alien's own armor plates as handholds. Krax tried to reach him, swinging wildly, but his size worked against him. Too slow. The human reached the base of Krax's neck and struck again. Precise, controlled. Another crack. Krax roared, his movements becoming uneven. The human jumped away and landed lightly on the ground. Krax staggered, breathing heavily. One leg was damaged. His balance was gone. The announcer stammered, "This is unexpected." The human circled Krax slowly, eyes focused, breathing steady. He was not angry. He was not excited. He was studying. The crowd began to feel uneasy. This was not how fights went. Krax attacked again, slower now, more desperate. The human dodged and struck, never lethal, always precise. A joint, a nerve point, a muscle group. Each hit reduced Krax's power. Minutes passed, minutes that felt impossible. Krax fell again, this time crashing fully onto the arena floor. The sound echoed through the silent stadium. The champion of the arena struggled to rise, but could not. The human stood a few steps away, watching. "You should stay down," the human said calmly. Krax growled and tried to move. Pain ripped through his body. His strength was gone. The crowd was no longer cheering. They were afraid. The judges exchanged worried looks. "This is wrong," one judge whispered. "Humans should not fight like this." The human walked closer and placed a boot gently on Krax's chest. He did not apply pressure, just enough to show control. "I could end this now," the human said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. "But that wouldn't teach anyone anything." The words sent a chill through the arena. The announcer was silent. One of the judges stood up. "Finish the fight," the judge ordered. "This is not a demonstration." The human looked up at the judges. "No," he replied. The word was simple, final. The crowd erupted in shocked voices. The human reached to his belt and activated another small device. A soft blue light spread across Krax's body. Data symbols flashed briefly in the air. The human was scanning him. "What is that?" a judge shouted. "Learning," the human answered. The judges stood in alarm now. "This fight is over," one yelled. "End it now!" The human turned back to Krax. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "You survived long enough." Krax looked up at him, fear clear in his eyes for the first time in his life. The human stepped back and raised his hand. The arena lights suddenly shifted to red. Warning alarms began to sound from above. Something new appeared on the displays. A signal, not from the arena, from orbit. The crowd looked up in confusion. The human smiled faintly. "Looks like my time is almost up," he said. The judges froze. "What do you mean?" one demanded. The human looked back at them. "I mean," he said, "this was never just a fight." The alarms did not stop. Red light washed over the arena, flashing again and again. The crowd looked up at the massive displays above the dome. Symbols they did not recognize scrolled across the screens. The judges stood frozen. "This is an arena system," one judge said sharply. "It cannot receive outside signals during combat." The human lowered his hand and looked calmly at the glowing displays. "It can," he said. You just never thought anyone would try. Krax lay on the ground, breathing heavily. The champion of the arena, once feared by the entire galaxy, could not even lift his head. His massive body trembled with pain and confusion. The human knelt beside him. "You fought well," the human said quietly, "for what you were taught." Krax growled weakly. "Kill me," he rasped. "Finish it." The human shook his head. "That would be easy," he replied. "Easy is not why I'm here." The crowd listened in complete silence. Every word was carried by the arena's speakers. Millions of aliens leaned forward, afraid to miss even a sound. One of the judges recovered first. "Guards!" the judge shouted. "Seize the human immediately!" Nothing happened. The judge shouted again. Still nothing. A chill spread through the arena. The human stood and looked up at the judges. "You should check your control systems," he said calmly. "They belong to me right now." The judges' displays flickered. Access codes vanished. Command symbols turned gray. "How?" one judge whispered. The human did not answer right away. He walked slowly around Krax, his steps unhurried. "Humans learned long ago," he said, "that strength is not enough. Speed is not enough. Even weapons are not enough." He tapped the side of his head. "You must understand the system. Then you break it." A low murmur spread through the crowd. The human reached down and pulled a small device from Krax's armor. It was thin, almost invisible. "This arena watches everything," the human continued. "Heart rate, muscle tension, neural signals." He held the device up. "So do I." The judges stepped back. "This is impossible," one said. "No human has ever—" "Survived," the human finished. "True, because you never wanted us to." The words struck the crowd hard. The human turned, slowly scanning the arena seats. "Did you know," he asked, "that humans were banned from owning fleets for 3 cycles?" No one answered. "Did you know," he continued, "that our colonies were taxed until they failed?" Still silence. "You call this entertainment," the human said. "We call it testing." Krax shifted slightly, pain flashing across his face. "What are you?" Krax asked. The human looked down at him. "I'm the one who remembers," he said. The arena doors began to close, not opening, closing. The crowd panicked. "Let us out!" someone screamed. The judges shouted orders, but the systems did not respond. The human raised his voice slightly. "Relax," he said. "No one here needs to die." That did not comfort them. "Yet," he added. The crowd fell silent again. Above the arena, the main display changed. A new image appeared. Human warships, dozens of them, silent, motionless, watching. Gasps filled the arena. The judges stared in horror. "A fleet?" one whispered. "In our space?" The human nodded once. "They've been here the whole time," he said. "You just never saw them." The judges backed away from the edge of their platform. "This is an act of war," one judge said. "You will be destroyed." The human looked bored. "No," he said. "This is a lesson." He turned back to Krax and crouched down. "You were built to fight," he said softly. I was built to win. He stood again and addressed the arena. Humans do not fight fair, he said, because fairness is a luxury of safe worlds. He walked toward the center of the arena. Our world tried to kill us every day, he continued. Weather, disease, animals, each other. The crowd listened, frozen. So we learned, the human said. We learned to plan, to adapt, to strike first, if needed. One judge shouted, voice shaking. What do you want? The human stopped walking. He looked up slowly. Respect, he said, and an end to this. The alarm stopped. The red lights faded. Normal lighting returned. The silence was worse. The human pointed at cracks. This fighter lives, he said. As proof, he pointed at the judges. You will answer for this arena. The judges shook. And you, the human said, sweeping his gaze across the crowd, will remember today. The main display changed again. A message appeared in human and galactic script. Humans are not prey. The words burned into the minds of everyone watching. The human turned away from the judges and walked back toward his starting point. Behind him, Cracks tried to move again, and failed. Cracks lowered his head. The first champion to ever bow in the arena. The human did not look back. As he reached the edge of the arena floor, the ground beneath him began to shift. A platform rose. The judges shouted in panic. Wait! One cried. You cannot leave this unresolved! The human stepped onto the platform. He looked back one last time. Oh, he said calmly. This is just the beginning. The platform began to rise. Above, the human warships powered up, and across the galaxy, systems began to listen. The platform carried the human upward, but it stopped halfway. The arena lights dimmed again, softer this time, like the calm before a storm. The crowd remained silent. No one tried to shout now. No one laughed. Fear had settled deep. The judges watched helplessly as the human turned to face them once more. You want this resolved, the human said calmly. Then listen. The platform locked into place. Across the arena, screens activated. Not flashy, not dramatic. Just clear images. The first image appeared. A blue planet. Oceans, storms, volcanoes. This, the human said, is Earth. The crowd watched closely. Another image replaced it. Massive waves destroying cities, fires consuming forests, earthquakes tearing the land apart. Our planet tried to kill us, the human continued, from the day we learned to walk. The judges remained silent. The images changed again. Early humans hunting dangerous animals, fighting each other with simple tools, losing many, learning slowly. We were not the strongest, the human said. We were not the fastest. We were not the biggest. The image paused on a group of humans standing together. But we survived. The crowd leaned in. We survived because we learned something early, the human said. Nothing fights alone. The screens shifted again. Wars. Humans fighting humans. Cities falling, then rebuilding. Technology advancing. Medicine. Spaceflight. We made mistakes, the human admitted. Terrible ones. The image showed ruined cities and loss. But every time we fell, he said, we adapted. The judges exchanged uneasy glances. The human looked directly at them. You looked at us and saw chaos, he said. You saw emotion. You saw weakness. The screen changed to show the arena again, humans fighting and dying for alien entertainment. But you never saw the pattern, the human said. One judge finally spoke, voice shaking. You are not explaining why you came here. The human nodded slowly. You're right, he said. I'm explaining why you failed. The crowd felt the weight of his words. The human raised his hand. The screen split into multiple views, other arenas across the galaxy, empty arenas, destroyed arenas, abandoned platforms. This is not the only one, the human said. You built many. Gasps rippled through the audience. Some you shut down, he continued. Some you hid. Some you erased from records. The judges' masks hid their faces, but their fear was clear. You believed humans were controlled, the human said. That fear made us obedient. He shook his head. Fear made us patient. The platform lowered slightly, bringing the human closer to the judge's level. For decades, he said, we studied you, your laws, your systems, your pride. The screen now showed schematics of the arena, weak points highlighted. You never thought the prey was learning, the human said. The crowd began to understand. This was not an escape. This was a reveal. Cracks shifted again on the arena floor, listening. The human turned his gaze briefly toward the fallen champion. You were never the enemy, he said. You were a tool. Cracks lowered his head in shame. The human turned back to the judges. You ask why I'm here, he said. I'm here to end this tradition. One judge stepped forward. You cannot control the galaxy, the judge said. Humans are still one species. The human nodded. Correct. The screen changed again. Human colonies, ships, trade routes. Allies, the human said. Species you ignored, species you used, species you laughed at. The judges stiffened. They listened, the human continued. Because humans listen. The crowd realized the truth. Humans were not alone. You thought strength was size, the human said. You thought power was fear. He paused. Power is choice. The human raised his hand again. The arena floor changed shape. Barriers rose between the judges and the exits. The crowd panicked, but the human's voice cut through the noise. No one is being harmed, he said firmly. Sit down. And slowly they did. The judges shouted. This is a crime! The human looked almost amused. No, he replied. This is history. He pointed at the judge's platform. You will answer for every life lost here, he said. Every scream you sold as entertainment. One judge fell to their knees. The human stepped back onto the platform. But understand this, he added. We are not here for revenge. That surprised everyone. We are here for balance, he said. And memory. The screen displayed a final message. The era of human chains is over. The crowd felt something shift inside them. The human's platform began to descend again, slowly returning him to the arena floor. As his boots touched the ground, the human turned once more to Cracks. Live, he said simply. Cracks nodded weakly. The judges shouted desperately. What happens to us? The human looked back at them. That, he said, depends on your answer. He paused. Should this place be remembered? The silence returned. Or erased? The judges did not answer. Above the arena, the human warships adjusted position. Weapons did not charge. But the message was clear. The choice was theirs. The silence lasted too long. The judges did not answer the humans' question. The crowd waited, frozen in their seats. Millions of eyes stayed locked on the golden platform where the judges stood. No one breathed easily anymore. Above the arena, the human warships shifted again, not aggressively, precisely. Their formation tightened, blocking every known exit path from the moon. The message was clear without a single shot fired. The arena was no longer a stage. It was a cage. One of the judges finally stepped forward. His voice was low, shaking despite the amplifiers. "This arena is law," he said. "It exists by galactic decree." The human stood still, hands relaxed at his sides. "Laws change," he replied calmly. "Truth doesn't." The judge lifted an arm and pointed at the crowd. "You would imprison millions for your pride?" The human slowly turned, looking across the endless rows of spectators. "I didn't lock the doors," he said. "You did, long before today." A wave of fear moved through the crowd as they realized the meaning. They had supported this place. They had cheered. They had paid to watch others die. The human's voice echoed again. "No one here is being punished," he said. "Not yet." That word hit harder than any threat. Yet. Crax struggled again on the arena floor. He forced himself to sit upright, pain shaking his massive frame. He looked smaller now. Not weak, but aware. "I was told humans were cowards," Crax said, his deep voice carrying. "I was told they begged." He looked at the human. "You didn't beg." The human met his eyes. "Because I wasn't asking for mercy." The judges backed away as the crowd began to murmur. Not laughter this time. Confusion, regret, fear. One spectator shouted, "Let us go!" Another screamed, "This is not our fault!" The noise grew. The human raised his hand. Instantly, the sound systems cut out every voice except his. "You came here to watch suffering," he said evenly. "Now you're uncomfortable because you might be seen." The words stung. He turned his attention back to the judges. "You built this place to remind the galaxy who was on top," he said. "But you forgot something." The judges said nothing. "Every cage teaches the prisoner," the human continued, "and eventually the prisoner learns the lock." A judge fell to his knees. "We were afraid," the judge admitted. "Humans adapt too quickly. You don't stay small." The human nodded once. "That fear created this," he said, gesturing to the arena. "And fear always grows teeth." The screens around the arena changed again. Names appeared, worlds, dates, human colonies that vanished, ships lost, records erased. The crowd watched in horror. "These are the costs," the human said. "This arena was never entertainment. It was a warning to my species." The judges bowed their heads. "What do you want?" one whispered. The human did not answer right away. Instead, he walked to the center of the arena and knelt. He placed his hand flat against the floor. "This structure," he said, "is built to contain violence." The floor beneath his hand glowed softly. "But humans learned long ago," he continued, "that control systems always assume obedience." The glow spread. Barriers rose around the judges' platform, not violent, not crushing, just unbreakable. The judges were sealed inside their own arena. The crowd gasped. "You turned our arena against us," one judge said in disbelief. The human stood. "No," he replied. "I returned it to its purpose." The judges shouted. "You cannot do this!" The human's voice was calm, almost gentle. "You did this," he said. "I just stopped pretending it was normal." Krax pushed himself to one knee. "What happens now?" he asked. The human looked at him for a long moment. "Now," he said, "you live with what you helped build." Krax bowed his head. Across the arena, alien spectators began to sit down slowly. No one screamed anymore. No one fought. They understood. This was not a massacre. It was judgment. The human looked up at the judges one final time. "You asked once why humans scare you," he said. "This is why." He turned and walked away from the center of the arena. Behind him, the judges' platform lowered, sinking slowly into the arena floor. The doors did not open. Not yet. The human stopped near the edge of the arena and spoke one last time, his voice carried to every corner. "This place will stand," he said, "not as an arena." The crowd waited, but as a reminder. The screens displayed a final message. No species is entertainment. The warships above powered down their weapons and shifted into a watchful orbit. The message had been sent. The galaxy was listening. And somewhere deep within the arena, systems began rewriting their own purpose. The human did not look back, because he already knew. The hardest part was still coming. The arena did not open its doors that day. Instead, it changed. The judges' platform was now sealed deep within the structure, locked behind layers of the same systems they once controlled. They shouted orders. They threatened laws. They promised punishment. No one listened. The human stood quietly at the edge of the arena floor. Around him, millions of spectators sat in silence. No one cheered. No one mocked. No one demanded blood. They were thinking. Above the moon, the human warships remained still, not attacking, not leaving, just watching. That frightened the galaxy more than violence ever could. Krax slowly forced himself to stand. His body trembled, but he stayed upright. The champion of the arena looked around at the crowd that once worshipped him. "They will not free you," Krax said to the human. "You made enemies today." The human looked at him calmly. "No," he said. "I ended a lie." Krax lowered his head. "Then let me stand with you." The human nodded once. That single gesture was seen across the arena. A former champion, a former prisoner, standing together. The screens above the arena activated again, this time showing live feeds from across the galaxy. Worlds stopped. Stations paused traffic. Governments interrupted meetings. Everyone was watching. The human stepped forward, his voice steady but strong. "This arena was built to teach fear," he said. "It succeeded for a long time." Images appeared of past battles, screaming fighters, cheering crowds. "But fear does not last forever," the human continued. "It only lasts until someone refuses to play the role." The image changed. Human colonies rebuilding. Human ships rescuing non-human vessels. Humans standing beside other species. "We are not perfect," the human said. "We never claimed to be." The crowd listened without a sound. "But we remember," he continued. And we learn. The judges' voices suddenly cut through the system again. You will pay for this, one screamed. The galaxy will hunt you. The human looked up at the sealed platform. Perhaps, he replied, but not today. The screen shifted one final time. A galactic vote request appeared. Status of combat arenas. Immediate review. Species after species cast their response. Suspend, close, investigate. The votes came faster than anyone expected. The arena was no longer supported. The judges fell silent. The crowd gasped as they realized the truth. The galaxy had changed its mind, not because of war, because of witness. Krax let out a long breath. You didn't destroy us, he said. You exposed us. The human nodded. Destruction is easy, he said. Understanding lasts longer. The arena lights brightened fully for the first time. The red warning glow was gone. The air felt lighter. The main gate slowly began to open. Spectators stood, uncertain. You may leave, the human said. And remember what you saw. No one rushed. They walked, quietly, respectfully. One by one, alien leaders bowed their heads as they passed the arena floor. Some avoided the human's eyes. Others met them and nodded. Krax watched them go. What will they call this place now? He asked. The human looked around the massive structure. A monument, he said, to what happens when power forgets empathy. The judges' platform sank even deeper, fully removed from sight. Their fate would be decided later. By law, by memory, by a galaxy that could no longer pretend it didn't know. The human activated a final transmission. His face appeared on screens across known space. Humans will not rule you, he said. We do not seek thrones. He paused. But we will never kneel in chains again. The message ended. The warships above the moon finally moved, slowly turning away, not in retreat, but in completion. The human looked at Krax. Live well, he said. Teach others. Krax placed a massive hand over his chest and bowed deeply. I will remember, he said. All of us will. The human stepped onto a small transport platform. As it lifted him away from the arena, the structure below looked different, smaller, less powerful, no longer feared. Across the galaxy, stories spread, not of violence, not of destruction, but of silence. Of the moment an entire arena stopped laughing, of the moment the galaxy realized humans were never weak. They were patient, and from that day forward, no arena ever asked a human to fight again.